Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Maheshwari, and I am Governor Inslee's sector lead for the Information and Communication Technology sector. And what that means is I direct economic development strategies and activities for Washington State's technology sector. I'll quickly uh, punt it over to Evan. Sorry, it's early morning here in Washington State. But I want to clarify too, just geographically, we are Washington State on the west coast of the United States. Uh, you know, famous cities include Seattle and Spokane and Olympia. We are not the Washington, D.C. that's on the east coast of the United States. I just wanted to put that out for clarification. Evan?
Yeah, so thank you. My name is Evan Wetland. I am with the Washington State Department of Commerce as a Business Development Director. My task is to help companies that are interested in locating in Washington State to learn a little bit more about the opportunities available here and how we are here to assist. So.
Great, thanks, Evan. And we want to make this an informal presentation. So if you have questions or thoughts or comments, please drop them in the chat box, and we'll do our best to kind of respond to them as they come in. I will quickly just say that we know that this summit is oriented more about investments in CE companies in CE companies, but we wanted to also just provide visibility into opportunities that mature CE tech companies may have if they want to expand or establish a presence in the United States. And that's why we want to make the case for why Washington State is the ideal state and the ideal place for tech companies who are interested in establishing a presence in the US to establish it here in Washington State. And so that's going to be what we're going to be talking about for the next few minutes. And without further ado, I'll just get into it. So I know we are representing the tech sector. We have, Evan and I represent basically our information and communication technology sector team. And thanks for the introduction, Anna. But I wanted to clarify that, technology is really more of a talent economy than it is sort of an industry cluster, in the sense that there are many tech companies that are working across a number of different sectors in our state. And so I wanted to clarify that tech kind of straddles everything, all of the vital economic sectors contributing to our economy in Washington State. But we also have thriving economic sectors outside of just technology. And so just as a preview, we do well in aerospace, in agriculture and food manufacturing, in clean technology, forest products, obviously information and communication technology, which is what we're here representing today, life science and global health. We have a great emerging maritime business sector, and we have a military and defense sector. What many people don't know is that Seattle, one of our main tech hubs here in Washington State, is a significant global hub and force in technology, specifically when we're thinking about technologies around, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, gaming, Internet of Things, and so many more. So two of the most well-capitalized companies in the world, Microsoft and Amazon, are situated and located in Washington State. We have a number of other legendary businesses that you may have heard of, also headquartered in Seattle, including Tableau, Smartsheet, T-Mobile, Redfin, Expedia, and more. But one of the best things about Seattle, too, is our engineering talent. So whether you're coming here to leverage our engineering talent or to hire, from our significant engineering workforce, you'll be replicating what many global tech giants are already doing. We have Apple, Google, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Alibaba, the list goes on, of companies who have established their engineering outposts in Seattle and Washington State. And in many cases, those engineering outposts are their largest sort of engineering presence outside of Silicon Valley or outside of where their main headquarters are. And then to complement all of the corporate presence and work and innovation that's happening in our state and in Seattle, we also have world-class research institutions. We have a dedicated Allen Institute for Artificial Intelligence. We have amazing research coming out of our one of our main universities, University of Washington, but we also have a significant amount of work coming out of Washington State University, and we also have one of the best community and technical college systems in the US. We also have the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center. We have one of the only, I think, 7 national laboratories in the US located here in Washington State with the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. And of course, we're home to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So Washington State, why do we have such a strong culture of innovation? Well, for one, we have one of the fastest growing economies. We have a litany, a number of accolades about sort of our economic growth, the number of STEM jobs that we've produced, that's science, technology, engineering, and math jobs. We have a significant amount of our workforce that's employed in the tech industry. And we're consistently ranked as the best engineering quality per dollar that you can procure in our state. And every day we're seeing new reports where we're ranking in the top 5 or top 3 or ranked number 1 as in terms of global economic hubs for technology. And you may be thinking, hey, some of those slides look outdated. Is that still true even during the pandemic? And one of the things that's been really interesting is that we have consistently been an importer of talent, especially from other markets that you may have heard of, including Silicon Valley and California. In 2018, I think per every 10,000 people that San Francisco and the Silicon Valley area lost, we were the #1 city to import those folks into our state. That was in 2018. If you fast forward to September 2020, we're still the top importer of talent from Silicon Valley and San Francisco. And there's a lot of reasons why, and we'll get into that in a second. But people love our quality of life. We have a low personal tax burden. We don't have a state income tax, for example. And we have just a significant amount of job opportunities for folks that are looking to kind of come here. And so that means that there's plenty of opportunities for companies that are looking to hire those folks, because we know that they're here to stay, and we know that they're here to kind of live for the long term. So why choose Washington? We're a growth-oriented economy. We have a significantly educated workforce. I mentioned we have a ton of universities and a ton of amazing community and technical colleges. In central Washington and across Washington State, we actually have a very low cost of energy. We do have a lot of data centers and even blockchain mining companies that are located in central Washington that take advantage of our low cost of energy. We are centrally located between global markets. So if you need to access the Asian market as well as European markets and you need a central location, Washington is perfect for that. We do have a pro-business environment, a culture of entrepreneurship. We have a ton of startups in our state, and we are a global hub for exports. I'm just rushing through this so that we can leave time for questions and for folks to kind of ask us anything that's top of mind. And then lastly, before I give it to Evan, I'll preview what I just mentioned earlier. So we have a very pro-business tax environment. We don't have a state corporate income tax. We don't have a state personal income tax. And we don't have an inventory tax, and we don't have a tax on interest or dividends. We do have a business and occupation tax, and we can talk about that if there's any questions around that. But I think our tax structure is very competitive, and so I'll throw it to Evan to talk a little bit more about that. Evan, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Yeah, we are just to finish off on that. We are one of 7 states within the U.S. that has no state income tax, no for corporation or personal, and no capital gains tax currently. So to finalize, to kick off some of the fun stuff, is what we offer is tax incentives for companies. What we have is industry specific sales and use exemptions, deferral waivers for companies that are operating here, traditionally around the manufacturing and R&D capacity. We also offer up a number of sales tax deferrals for equipment purchases, for data center equipment, for build outs, for anything over 100,000 square feet. We also offer business and occupation tax credits per employees hired. We're talking about $2,000 to $4,000 per employee, leveraged against your tax liability for the business and occupation tax. So ultimately, we really try to offset the cost of doing business here in Washington State as much as possible through some of the minimal taxes that are still offered, but we still try to get that as low as zero. But most importantly, what Washington State has tried to do is create this environment of opportunity to succeed. And that is through helping bolster our workforce and helping make businesses more competitive by continuing state training support through our job skills program, and then the Governor's Strategic Reserve Fund that we use through our office, gifted to us by Governor Inslee, Governor of Washington State, to incentivize growth in Washington. Our funds, it is a relatively small fund, but it is there to help with commitment of training employees, investment in leasehold improvements of facilities, calibration of equipment, engineering costs, just to help offset some of the fees that we see incurred. So not only are we relatively inexpensive to do business in, we also are trying to find ways to make it even easier for companies. If you want to go one more. And then lastly, what our office offers. So we are a government entity. What we do is no-cost confidential assistance to both domestic and foreign investors looking at Washington State. We are a one-stop shop. We identify sites for expansion and relocation. We have a team and network of partners throughout our state, about 37 of them, that help us do local real estate searches that we will then utilize to find the bespoke site for companies. What we also do is help identify strategic partners that are already in the state, whether it's one of our research organizations, our universities, companies that are already in our ecosystem that you can partner with, that you both could benefit a relationship from. We help make those introductions. We coordinate workforce training through one of our programs or with coordination of our universities or one of our many technical college and community colleges. We offer regulatory and permitting assistance. So what we will do is we'll help you understand what exactly permits will be required to do business in Washington State. If it's a building permit, we'll help walk you through the process. We will help expedite if necessary. We will also help with working through the Department of Revenue to get your better understanding of what the business and occupation taxes would look like, get you a snapshot and comparison between what other states you might be considering, so you can understand exactly, how much cheaper is it to operate in Washington. And then we will help you identify the range of incentives that we will help even lower the cost of doing business in Washington, ultimately with the idea of helping to attract you to Washington State to succeed, but at the same time creating jobs in our environment here to continue to grow our state's economy. And I think that is it, Stephen, if you want to.
Yeah, no, so that's our presentation in terms of presenting Washington State. We just want to reiterate that we can be kind of your one-stop shop as you consider or think about establishing a U.S. presence when you are so ready. And if there's any other questions or thoughts, we're happy to kind of field those questions now. Or, if you're watching this as a recording, our contact information is located on the slide deck. You can see my email address as well as Evan's email address, and we'd be happy to kind of talk through any questions or thoughts you may have. I will say, in terms of diplomatic relations, we also have a Polish consulate located in Seattle. I think Tom challenged us even before this presentation to see if there were any companies, Polish, Romanian, Lithuanian companies that are located in Seattle, Washington. I wasn't able to spend the time to kind of look through all of that, but I did think we found a couple of companies that are located here, and so we can kind of dig that up if that's of interest for any folks that are watching or reviewing the recordings. And I think Tom just joined as well. So, Tom, I was promised some hard-hitting questions if you have any.
you might have lucked out.
Okay, well, I guess we were comprehensive. Well, we also just appreciate the opportunity to kind of, present to a wonderful group and establish kind of a relationship with folks in the Central Eastern Europe area. And so we look forward to continued relationships with both the organizers and folks, again, that are potentially interested in relocating in Washington State. And if there's anything we can do to help in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, I am going to stop our presentation here, Evan, and then I'm just going to stay on for folks that may want to network for a couple, half an hour, 45 minutes, and see if anyone wants to talk.
Same, I'll do the same, and thank you very much.